Hi, it's Aaron with the Wealthy Environmental Center. Today I'd like to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, ecology. Ecology is the study of living organisms' interactions with their non-living environment. All right, so for a really easy example, let's take a squirrel. A squirrel picks up a nut and buries it in the soil. We have a living organism, the squirrel, and the soil, and the squirrel's burying its nut in the soil to store it for winter. Simple, easy peasy. One simple way for us to be able to take a closer look at our non-living and living organisms within a system is to do a plot study. But before we get there, I'd like to talk about the two vocabulary words that I'm going to mention quite a bit today. One is biotic and the other is abiotic. Biotic, those are our living organisms. And then abiotic, those are our non-living factors that influence an area, like sunlight and the wind and soil and rocks. So, to take a closer look, we are going to do something together called a plot study. A plot study is a small area within a larger one. So, a couple of things that we're going to need to do our plot study you might be able to find around your home. One, you go outside and collect 4 sticks, about this size, not very big. You're going to want a ruler or a tape measure if you have one, and then a piece of yarn or string like this. You'll probably want about 45 inches. And then to limit our view even further within our plot, we want to create a limiter. And here's my limiter. It has a 1 inch by 1 inch hole cut in the center of it. And I just used an empty box of sugary cereal to create my limiter. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go create a 10 by 10 inch square with our yarn, our sticks, and our ruler. Now Darcy already has one set up, so we're going to go on over to Darcy and she's going to show us what she's found in the sun.
Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. Like Aaron said, I am Darcy, and today I wanted to show you my plot study that I did in my backyard in a big open field. So as you can see, there are not really any trees around me, and it's very, very sunny outside today. So I'm going to show you what a plot study might look like in a nice open sunny area. So let me flip the camera around and show you what I found in my plot study. So taking a look at my plot study here, as you can see, it's a nice open sunny area, so there's not a whole lot of trees about making shade. So this is nice and sunny here. So let's take a closer look. As you can see, I have a 10 by 10 inch plot study square that I use with sticks and string. And so we're going to look closer at this. Now, first keeping in mind the temperature outside. So I checked the temperature beforehand, and at the peak today, it was about 57 degrees. Now looking at biotic features. So biotic features are living things or living organisms, like Aaron said. Now, living things that I can see here would be our green grass growing, and even some of these little clover or little plants growing in the grass here as well. And that's what I'm pretty much seeing for biotic features. I've seen a couple little bugs crawling around here as well. But then looking at our abiotic features, so those non-living things that help support our biotic things. So we have some things that are decomposing and that were once biotic that are now abiotic. So we have a couple dead leaves that probably blew over here. Also checking the wind, we have a light breeze today, so that's another abiotic feature. And now even looking at the soil that we have here, so taking a closer look, we have some dirt, and let me see if I can pull some up, but First feeling it, the surface is a little bit drier than underneath or further down, and the deeper I go, the cooler it gets as well, underneath this grass too. So I'm going to pull some up. I got some grass in there as well. So as you can see, some are biotic features, but we also have some soil here. So it's pretty soft and it's pretty wet or damp. So there's a lot of moisture in the soil right now. And this helps support our biotic features. There's a lot of water, which is also an abiotic feature. And our soil has lots of nutrients in it to support our living biotic features, such as our plants here. So I'm going to put that back in the ground there. So next, I'm going to take our limiter here that I made out of a pizza box, and I cut a 1 by 1 inch square to see if our 1 by 1 inch square was representative of our 10 by 10 inch square. So taking a closer look, we have lots of grass and some plants that I see, and I still see that soil underneath as well. Now zooming back out, I see we have a lot of grass growing, lots of plants growing, maybe even some bugs crawling around in there, and some of those dead abiotic leaves that are once were living or biotic and are now abiotic. And now, taking a look around, our plot survey or plot square is very similar and is a good representative of our surrounding vicinity or surrounding area. So now I'm going to hand it back over to Aaron to show you a plot study done in a much shadier area than I did in my backyard. So back to you, Aaron.
All right, thank you, Darcy, for showing us what you found in your plot in a sunny area. Now here I have chosen a shady area so that we can compare the difference between what was found in a sunny plot and a shady plot. Now I'm going to show you around my shady plot. So here I'm going to turn my camera around. All right, now as you can see, all of this underbrush and these small trees have yet to leaf out yet this season. But when they do, they will completely shade this area. Here, let's look up into the canopy and you'll be able to see that very little sunlight when the trees have leaves will make it through to the ground. And as you can see already, the difference between a shady area and a sunny area is quite different. So let's go ahead and take a look at my plot. As you can see here, I have a 10 by 10 inch square using my sticks, my ruler, and my yarn. Now here in my plot, we want to do the same thing that Darcy did, which was first, let's just take a temperature reading. I checked that on my phone earlier, and it was 59 degrees. Now, here in a shady spot, it can be 10 to 15 degrees cooler. So here in the shade, it could be 49 degrees or less. Now, as you can see, there's not a whole lot growing in my plot. There's not a whole lot of biotic activity going on. There's not very many things that are alive. Lots of things that were alive that are now decomposing. And instead, we're going to focus here on the abiotic, or the non-living factors within my little plot. Now, if I hold my hand out, I can feel the wind. That's abiotic. I hold my hand up. Right now I can feel the sun on my hand. Remember that the leaves are not currently shading the area, but will. Now let's feel the soil. And the soil on top is dry, but if I push my hands into the soil is actually quite wet. And if I pick up some of this soil, the soil looks nice and rich like it would support plants, but is actually quite sandy. So now let's go ahead and take our limiter. Oh, that's a little too busy on that side for me. So let's take a look at this side, and let's place that somewhere within my plot. Now let's go even closer and see what we can spot inside of my limiter. Inside my limiter, I see soil, sand, and twigs that will eventually decay. Now let's come back up a little bit higher. And yes, what was in my limiter is representative of what I find in my plot. Now let's go up even further. My plot is representative of what I can find in the vicinity of my plot study. Now I just wanted to show you one more thing inside my plot, which I think is kind of interesting. Earlier I mentioned ecology is the study of living organisms with their non-living environment. And I mentioned a squirrel burying a nut. Well, looky here what I found. I found a walnut shell within my plot. So our biotic creature, our squirrel, our living organism, took its nut and buried it in our abiotic factors, the soil, or our non-living environment, and had an ecological relationship. Plot studies are super interesting and super fun and very easy to do anywhere around where you live. All you need are a few simple supplies from your home. Remember the yarn, maybe a ruler or a tape measure, a couple of sticks, and maybe you can create a limiter. Now, I hope that you give this a try at home and see what you can find inside of your plot. And then double check to see if what you found within your plot is representative of what you found in your area. I'm going to link within the description of this video to some extra material if you want to take your plot study even further and engage in more ecological understanding. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.